break is over. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And now we will have our illustrious Club Growth Director-elect, Vicki Goodman, talk to us about making club visits. Take it away, Miss Vicki.
Deep breath. Here we are starting now on the module entitled Club Visits, because as you know, as area directors, you're going to be serving a really vital role in Toastmasters. Of all of the district leaders, you guys are the closest to the clubs and to the members. And you're really the direct link between them and the division and the district. It's a really rewarding role with many responsibilities and club visits, but they're essential to this success. So in this module, we're going to discuss some successful club visit strategies, as well as what kind of club visit outcomes you can have, because that's really what it's all about. Oops, I went too far. Our objectives for this particular session are to first learn to identify what a successful club visit looks like. I don't know that many of you have had the opportunity, because we have a lot of new area directors here, but we want you to be able to recognize the various outcomes of your particular visit so that you can then develop strategies that will help ensure that we hold productive and successful club visits. So clubs, as we already said, are the heart of Toastmasters International. As a district leader, you should strive to ensure that clubs create a supportive learning environment. Where have you heard that before? For members, by establishing the best possible experience from the very beginning. As previously stated, an important way for area directors to evaluate their clubs is through these club visits. It's a really crucial component of the district mission. We are going to continue to stress it. We're going to continue to provide information and training and ways for you to make these visits as effective as possible. Because it's through this personal contact and club visits that we're able to provide essential support to ensure those clubs are successful. As an area director, you're required, notice the word required, to visit your clubs at least twice each year. And you're going to have to complete a report of the club status to submit to Toastmasters International. And now here, I'm really excited to announce, if you've had the opportunity to see a club visit report in the past, TI is going to be releasing, yay, an all new area director club visit report tool. We haven't seen it yet, but it's supposed to be available on when we get started July 1st, and it's going to be accessed through the district central aspect of the TI website. It's supposed to be designed for better usability as a web-based reporting tool that captures really more effective information and puts added focus on club support and excellence. We all hope that it's just a little bit less encumbered and easier for us to complete. This new system will allow also you as area directors to schedule your visits with an automatic email that will be sent to the club presidents and vice presidents of education announcing, hey, well, I'm coming for my official visit. So we'll get into the detailed description of the format and completion of these club visitation forms at a little bit later training. But what we want to do now is to start preparing you for successful club visits. Before getting into a successful club visit, let's talk a little bit about a successful club. What does a successful club look like? How do we judge a club success? What will we notice? What will members experience? I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. I want to see that all of you have ideas and things. What do you think a successful club looks like? And I want this to be fast and furious. Not long drawn out, just give me some bullet points. What do you think? Unmute yourself and shout it out.
Engaged members.
Engaged members. Nobody
Upbeat.
else knows. Upbeat.
Successful growth.
Successful growth.
You know, the members are happy, excited.
Fun.
All right. It's fun.
Meetings.
Okay.
Following pathways.
that people are following pathways, really good. They have to have a focus on their education. What else?
Motivation.
Motivation, I heard. What else?
Clubs working together with other clubs inside the division and sister divisions.
Yeah, getting a sense of themselves as a bigger part of the organization. How do you interact? Where can you learn new ideas? Go visit those clubs. Let's go for a
Attracting
couple
new
more.
members.
Ruby's
They're
been trying to get in.
All right, Ruby, go ahead.
Quality speeches.
Quality speeches. And that goes back to doing those pathways projects, doesn't it? One more.
Mentoring.
New members.
Say it again.
Real evaluations.
Real-
Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Real evaluations. And then Sam, how about you?
I was thinking mentoring as new members come into the club.
All
They
right,
need to be
mentoring.
Guided.
That's exactly right. You know, those are all really great ideas. And those are things that certainly I think we can all appreciate and have experienced, because hopefully we've all felt what it's like to be part of a really successful club. I've noticed that a lot of those things fell into 6 of what we call the basic categories, the basic primary indicators of club success. The first is first impressions. You know, how did you feel? And you're going to notice this as an area director when you went to visit the club. What was your first impression? What are the guests' first impressions going to be like? How about fellowship and variety? That's what you were talking about. Communication. Are we having fun? Are we doing things? Are we communicating well? Are people excited? The program planning and meeting organization. Does it look organized? Is the agenda set? Are people ready to perform their roles? Don't forget about, you need to have members in order to make sure that you are successful. That club has to be growing, really needs to be at that maximum 20 or that minimum of 20 in order to move forward. And membership orientation. You talked about mentoring. You talked about having some facility, some way to manage those new members coming in so that they're not just floundering, trying to find out the answers on their own. And also achievement recognition. We didn't talk about this. We talked about being in pathways, but are those members being acknowledged and rewarded and given that applause for that great accomplishment when they finish their projects? Now, if this looks familiar to you, it should, because this is what we refer to in Toastmasters as moments of truth. And this is a program clubs can use to measure how well they're doing in these areas. Hopefully, all of you had some experience with this program, but even if you haven't, I think you will become convinced of its usefulness because it ties into so many other tools and support resources that we have. I'm going to want you to review this program over the next few weeks, become familiar with it. It's available in the resource list that we have. There's a link there for you. And we're also going to be delving into this program in the future and its relationship to really everything Toastmasters in future training. Now, what we're going to do, though, is have some indication of a successful club meeting, which we just had. We're going to focus in our breakout rooms to quickly brainstorm ways to prepare for a successful and productive club visit. You now know what a successful meeting looks like. How are you going to prepare for a successful visit? This is going to be starting on page 2 of the session workbook, which Sue has uploaded into the chat again to facilitate the discussion, although some of you probably already have it available from your pre-work. If you've got the workbook there, just go ahead and open it up. The key words in this exercise, though, are brainstorm and quickly. We're going to flesh out these ideas. You're going to have an opportunity with your team. We want to move fast. You saw in the last breakout, it's hard to get through all of these things. So let's just quickly go through these particular exercises. Remember to use the breakout room tips that have been already mentioned to you. Remember to select a spokesperson if you like to briefly present your group's ideas, or I will call at random on people. You're going to have 15 minutes. So get cracking. Sue, are we ready to go?
Yes, and I just want to give I and C, you have been combined into one, so don't be surprised when you see each other. But yes, I am opening the breakout room, so here we go.
So I heard as Debbie Jo has said a lot of lively discussion as I was popping in and out of these rooms. I know there was a little confusion, it seems, on which one of the workbooks was actually a pre-work assignment that we sent out to you all to kind of get familiar with the topics, but then there was actually a participation or a participant workbook. That's what we're going to focus on right now, but don't disregard the pre-work. That's the work that helped you get to the discussion. I am delighted to see so many people really talking things through. I noticed that all those experienced people are really helping to share their experience. Those that are newer are learning, but they also have ideas based on their own experience. So let's go ahead and start with the first question we're going to go to today, which is, what guides, reports, and data should you review prior to visiting a club, and why? This is something that you may have had to look at your resources first. I want you to remember to unmute yourself when you talk. And again, I want this to be fast and furious. I know that there's lots of experiences we could share, but let's get the point out, what things we can use. Give me one idea. Let me ask somebody from division, or the group that was with F, somebody from division F, respond.
We talked about looking at past reports. If you have access to the archived reports, obviously coming into a new year, we still may be able to see last year's reports for a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Speak to the VP, talk to the president, possibly the past president, find out the past area director, find out if they had trends that were seen, if they were able to meet in person in COVID, or if they were doing a hybrid meeting, if they were even allowed to be in a meeting status. Some of them,
okay.
A couple of the clubs we've seen have dissolved because, well, they're busy saving lives. It was more important than doing Toastmasters. So unfortunately, the club was dissolved. But there could be other areas that clubs have merged together for bigger growth because they weren't in the building. Now they're returning. Maybe they can come back to their buildings.
Really good point. Really good point. I mean, John, that's I wanted to just talk about that thing that Zoom is kind of, we're still in the operation process of that, but many clubs are now starting to meet. They're trying to reorganize, find out what's left of their group. They've combined. So really good things to consider. How about Division I, and next on deck will be B?
I guess I could talk to this one since I posted something in the link. Regarding what reports and guides, the dashboard, and the easiest way to access it is from the District 84 website, going to the part that says reports dash. From there, you can see the dashboard, but I think even more importantly is the daily reports, because it tells you what the club status is as far as paying, what their educational awards are, specifically who earned what currently and the previous year, so you can see what the club's been doing. And you can make your work a whole lot easier for you if you actually subscribe to the Mike Rafferty report, and his links in chat, because this gentleman puts together a report weekly on every single club in the district, in every district, and he will actually email that to you every Friday. So you don't have to go anywhere to get your reports. It's all delivered to you in a summary format for what your club and area is doing, so you can just get a quick snapshot before you go, as well as then going to the dashboard and the daily reports to get additional information.
Great
You can always
input.
have access to previous leader.
Great input for data that's available. We'll be talking about that as well in a lot more detail as we progress through our training sessions. Excellent information, and don't worry if you didn't follow how to access. We'll give that to you. How about Division B?
One thing that we talked about was the member orientation PowerPoint presentation. That's something that we should make available to our leadership so that they can walk their new members through the orientation if they don't send them to the monthly orientation meeting.
All right, excellent. Those are good ideas. I know the rest of you have some good ideas. Really quickly though, before we move on to the next question, I want to just add to what Bob has said by talking a little bit about the resources that are available, because the first question I asked when I was an area director was, so where are all these resources? I know they gave me a piece of paper, but a good place, Bob gave you one way to access them through the district website, but we're all familiar, hopefully, with Toastmasters International. You can just go ahead and start on the TI website, go under the Leadership Central tab, and you're going to find that you have all of these opportunities to select a lot of information. After June 30th, you're going to actually even be able to access the District Central tab because that doesn't open up for us until we are officially appointed on July 1st. All of the resources you have named and many others are available for you to read, review, and read again. Just all those, that list to the left are all the things we sent out to you, available to your clubs, and as the circumstances warrant, you know, for you, for members, whoever needs them. In addition, when you go, I meant to show you before, sorry about that. In addition, your pre-work assignment offered a list of those resources. That's on the left. But the essential tool in your area and division toolbox is called the dashboard. And you see that where it says Distinguished Performance Report. That's what I use as a really fast link because I can get on TI really quickly, as well as a district website. So there are several ways to access the dashboard. This is an easy way. When you go ahead and go to that, you're going to find out that when it opens, you have a lot of options for sorting the data. The first is to make sure that you're in the correct district. So that's where you see all the various tabs across the top. And then you want to make sure that you see those options to check your particular division, your area, and club reports as you need to. Each of those opens up a whole bunch of data. Each page offers the critical information on club success. And it just takes a little practice to get going and navigating and understand what the data means. There are also many helpful reports available on the menu to the left. That's what Bob was talking about, where it says daily reports. Those are all available there to you, and they have a lot of information. Again, we're going to be discussing these. I just wanted you to see what it looks like and start getting a flavor for those particular things. Let's move on to the next question. How do you build rapport with club officers? Okay, how do you build rapport with club officers, and what are the differences that you might experience between, say, corporate and community clubs? Give us one way, or one way for each of those things if you've got it, or one way. And let's go ahead and start this time with Division C. I'll ask you for a pointer first. What did your group come up with?
Engagement, how necessary it is in order to build a relationship with the officers, and to make sure that you're getting them sufficient notice before your visit, so that you can perhaps provide them with the last page of that report beforehand, so that they have some guidance as to what it is that you're looking for. And this will help to set the tone with what it is that you're there for and what you have to do and how you're there to help them.
That's correct. That's a really good example. How about Division I?
Division I, I'm also.
Okay, you were in the same room.
But yeah, we were in the same room. Another thing that we had noted was you visit the clubs once and don't do your report then, but just take notes and make sure that you follow up, you visit them a second time, even a third time. And at that point, then do your area director reports. This way you're not giving the report off of just a first impression, that you have time to establish that rapport.
All right, good suggestions. How about the room that had divisions D and G in it?
Yeah, Vicki, I think one of the things that are very important is for us to get to meet our officers right off the bat. We do need to check those reports as well, but it would be a good thing if we could communicate with our officers and get to know who they are before we even start making those visits.
Really good point. Anybody from Division E?
Hi, we said making sure that you hold those monthly meetings with your officers. And also when you visit the clubs, jump in and fill a role. That will help build rapport with the members and everything. If they have a need for a role to be filled, you can jump in.
That's a really good pointer, helping out the club when you visit, but also those area council meetings. That's what I think she's talking about, is meeting with club officers in your area. Really good suggestion. Let's move on to the next question really fast and see how we did with that. The next question is, consider club visits you have experienced. What kind of things were positive and maybe what not so positive? Think about that. And I'm going to start this particular discussion with, how about Division H? The question is, consider club visits that you have experienced. You've gone to visit or your members have experienced, maybe they've told you about them. What was positive and maybe what was not so positive things? You need to know those things.
The positives were the previous area directors kept the clubs on task. They invited the clubs to other events and trainings so that they would have more resources for training. The area directors often email the reports in advance so that the president or the officers, the president would know what's expected, and so they would know how they needed to do it, and then they would go back and visit as the other participants stated. They wouldn't do the report on the fly. They would go back and give them an opportunity to incorporate some feedback, and then they would make corrections and then submit the report.
Certainly advance notice is always a really important thing as well. How about Division G? Do you have something to add to this? What club visits have been experienced and what might be positive? Or what would not be a good thing to do that you might have seen done?
Well, one thing that was at the very first time that I went as an area director somewhere is that I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. So when a question was asked, it was not easy for me to just say, I don't know the answer, but I will get back to you. I found myself a little flustered and it was a little bit embarrassing. But, you know, other than that, the only other bad thing that happened is not knowing why somebody was misbehaving a particular visit. And, you know, that sometimes can cause an issue. But for the most, I've always had pretty good visits. Good experience.
Right. That was, thanks for sharing that. It's not easy to share those things that don't go well. So we appreciate that advice then is be prepared, do your homework and be prepared as you can. I also heard one group when I was dropping in and out say that their area director sent the form ahead, which was suggested, but they said, hey, fill this form out for me. And the point is, what are you going to do if they fill the form out for you? Now, certainly they could have some input in various aspects of it. They should know what the visit is going to look for, but it's really the area director's job to fill that out. So make sure you're careful when you are doing that advance notification. Just wrap up this whole idea of club visits, because really, don't you want all club visits to be a positive and supportive experience for the clubs that you are responsible for, in fact, for all of our clubs. So if possible, what I've heard is we want to visit more frequently than twice during the year because you need to build that rapport. Visit early in the year so you can establish the rapport and then follow up maybe with your official visit. As we've discussed, there's many ways to plan for success. Some of the things you want to do before you visit a club are to make sure you contact the club president before your visit or the club officers and say you want to introduce yourself as the new area director and ask them, engage them, ask about their Toastmaster experience. Ask if you can have some time on the agenda and you can present actually a Pathways project, a 5 to 7 minute speech around your duties as the area director. Inspire them, motivate them, educate them about opportunities that are available. Dress professionally. Now, we've all gotten a little sloppy in this Zoom world, but even if you're on Zoom, you need to look professional because it's a sign of respect for the club. So make sure that you have a name tag if you're going in person, and always a good idea to wear your Toastmaster pin. Arrive early. I know we all have a lot to do, but get out there, arrive early so you can meet the members and chat and get to know them, find out what's helping motivate them in their club and so forth. Offer to help by filling in any of those missing roles. We heard that as a suggestion from several of our groups today. Remind the club about the benefits of the MOT program and offer even to maybe provide this program the first time. You can go back and visit and you can actually conduct the program and they can provide the results and the feedback. Also, make sure you provide notice in spite of all those visits, of when your official visit is going to happen. So, you know, hey, this official visit, we want to make sure we got everything going right, so that when you come in and observe, they're on their very best form. It's not that they're not always on their best form, but it's always good to have a little bit of notice. And finally, make sure you come prepared with the data from the club dashboard, so that you can congratulate those people who have earned an award by name. You can find that out on those daily reports Bob talked about. You can see how many projects have been completed, or how far this club is moving along in the Distinguished Club program. How many goals do they need to still meet, and what opportunities are coming up to allow them that opportunity to complete another goal. It's not the goal that's important, it's the opportunity for growth that it gives to the members. Fellow Toastmasters, preparation is definitely the key to a successful club visit. And by success, we mean the establishment of a good rapport between you and the club, so that the officers and members recognize you as the positive resource with an intent on helping their club flourish. Part of the mission is developing strategies to deal with various outcomes of these club visits. Once you go and you find things, how are you going to tactfully work with this group? But before moving on to the section, do we have any real burning questions that need to be answered? Because we're going to go ahead and let Paula come forward and discuss with us some of those outcome opportunities. Anybody that needs something answered real quickly?